And after 2 games of the brand new regular season, Bryce Young has officially been benched by the Carolina Panthers in favor of Andy Dalton. Now, Andy Dalton had a lot of successful years with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was a former backup for the New Orleans Saints, and he looked solid there as well. They have problems bigger than Bryce Young. Since David Tepper purchased the team, the Carolina Panthers are 31-70. Their winning percentage is 30%. That is one of the worst winning percentages by an owner within the first couple of years in NFL history. David Tepper needs to sell the team, but it's not going to happen. Now, Bryce Young is a bust. He's a bad quarterback. But Andy Dalton isn't going to get you over the hump either. He's a better quarterback now than Bryce Young, and we got to see this last season as well. Because Bryce Young did not play every game last season. He missed the game against the Seattle Seahawks. And the past game did look better last season underneath Andy Dalton. But when I look at the Carolina Panthers, this man, David Tepper, is on his third head coach. They went from having Matt Rule. That did not work out. Frank Reich got fired before the season even ended. And then now you look at Dave Canales. Now, Dave Canales had a lot of support for Bryce Young on Sunday in his press conference. But within a span of 24 hours, he's singing a completely different tune. He said he had Bryce Young's back, and he does believe that he's going to be the starter long term. And the next thing you know, the next day, Andy Dalton is the starting quarterback. I think that this was the head coach, the general manager, and ownership as a whole going out there and saying, you know what? Bryce is done. This isn't a reset. We've seen the New York Jets go out there and they try to reset things with Zach Wilson. That did not work out. He is now the third string quarterback with the Denver Broncos. Bryce Young is just too small to work with this Carolina Panthers team. Now, coming out of Alabama, he was a hyped up prospect for a reason. He was a very good quarterback with Alabama. And I see this notion that a lot of reporters are saying that he came from a loaded Alabama team. That wasn't the case. His best option was Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield. That was it. But that doesn't always translate over to the NFL the way that he played in college. And it sucks for Bryce Young because he puts his all into this game. He's a very nice guy. Very nice guy, very humble. It just hasn't worked out. One thing that I'm afraid of, that the Carolina Panthers will move on from Bryce Young. He goes to another team and he finds success. We've seen Baker Mayfield. He was with the Carolina Panthers. As soon as he left, he found success with the Los Angeles Rams, and now he's finding success with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sam Darnold was here as well. Had some success underneath Steve Wilkes. Had some success for a couple of games with Matt Rule and Joe Brady. The offensive line was terrible. Christian McCaffrey goes down. He is now finding success with the Minnesota Vikings. Bryce Young may be a bust, but at the same time, the Carolina Panthers right now, they are a horrible organization. They're terrible. Did they fail him? Yes, but Bryce Young also did not play up to standard either. Two things can be true. And both of those things are true in this statement. That Bryce Young isn't a good quarterback, and the Carolina Panthers pretty much ruined this kid from the jump. He shouldn't have played his rookie season. They should have put Andy Dalton out there, and this should have been the first season that we would get to see him as a starter. They should have went with CJ with the first overall pick, but you can't go back in time and change that decision. Regardless if it's Andy Dalton, Bryce Young, or whomever, they're going to be selecting the quarterback in this year's draft class. And what is so worse about this is, what makes the situation worse is that this quarterback class with Shedeur Sanders, Carson Beck, and Quinn Ewers is not the strongest quarterback class. You also have Cam Ward in the conversation as well. Now, all those quarterbacks are bigger. They have better arms than Bryce Young than he had when he was in college. But we're starting to see the Carolina Panthers go out there and roll the dice at the quarterback position. They moved on from Cam Newton. They moved on from Ron Rivera. And it was time to do that. But it's the way that they went about it with this new ownership. I'll never forget the day when David Tepper bought the team. This was this older billionaire that comes in, is known for his investments. He's a very good investor. In terms of running an NFL team, he's terrible. They've been one of the worst teams in the NFL since he bought the team. And that's not a coincidence. He just doesn't know what the hell he's doing. It doesn't matter if he goes out there and he hires Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter if he goes out there and he hires one of the best general managers of all time. As long as he has his nose in business, it's not going to work. There were a lot of reports that Frank Reich wanted CJ and that other coaches wanted Bryce Young. And then there was another report that came out that David Tepper's wife, she wanted Bryce Young. So they went with Bryce Young, an undersized quarterback. It just makes zero sense. The front office and the coaching staff have to be on the same page. Now, they brought in a brand new general manager. They brought in a brand new head coach. You can't fire these guys after one season. You just can't. Because now you're running into a situation, who the hell would want to coach for the Carolina Panthers if you fire Dave Canales after one season? And Dave Canales, the play calling hasn't been bad. Bryce Young just can't hit open wide receivers deep down the field. Andy Dalton can do that, but Andy Dalton is not going to lead this team to the NFL playoffs. You may call me crazy. This ownership really had a lot of playoff aspirations this season for the Carolina Panthers. I did not, but they did. You're still in a bad situation because your defense is worse than what it was the last couple of seasons. And you have a very good defensive coordinator. I think the Carolina Panthers need to look within and they need to make major changes. And unfortunately, the only person that can control that is David Tepper, and he's the owner. I know a lot of you guys may want to hear me say that, they're going to start Andy Dalton. They're going to go out there and win football games now. They may win 3 or 4 on the season, and that's it. Now you have a quarterback that you traded up for. You traded DJ Moore and first-round picks for. He's no good. He's already shot in year 2. He didn't even last the entirety of his second year before he got benched. He lasted 2 games. And on the season, he has 0 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Bryce Young only had 84 passing yards. 84 passing yards against the Los Angeles Chargers. That was it. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how a franchise that went to the Super Bowl many years ago with Cam Newton, they had a great season. You had guys like Devin Funchess, Jonathan Stewart. They were just a fun football team to watch and just a fun organization to root for. And now you just feel bad for the fans because you know it's not going to get any better with this ownership. It's the same song over and over again. They'll make major changes in the offseason. And the next thing you know, they're going to be trying to make a playoff push. This team hasn't made a true playoff push in many years. The day that Cam Newton got injured with his shoulder injury was the day that the Carolina Panthers franchise died. When they moved on from Ron Rivera and when David Tepper purchased this team, that was the darkest day in Carolina Panthers history. Not when they selected Bryce Young. That may be the second or third darkest day. He's the worst owner in the NFL. The problem is this. You can't really vote him out because he doesn't have allegations like how Dan Snyder had allegations. Unless he wants to go out there and he wants to sell the team, he's going to own the team. And I feel bad for Carolina Panther fans, and I hate the fact that he owns this team. He's like this wannabe Jerry Jones. But look at Jerry Jones right now. He hasn't had much success in the last 20 years. The Carolina Panthers are stuck on a hamster wheel. They're going nowhere fast. I feel bad for Bryce Young. It was a terrible situation. I feel bad for Deontay Johnson. This is a kid that just continues to get put with bad quarterbacks over and over again. From Mitch Trubisky to Kenny Pickett, now with Bryce Young. Just terrible situations. Hopefully Andy Dalton can come in and just give them some life. Because if you paid attention, the Carolina Panther fans, they start booing Bryce Young and the offense. And one thing about Panther fans, and I've seen them up close and personal, it takes a lot for them to boo their team because they love their team. They continue to come back. The last couple of years have been hell, but they still go to the games. They still buy the tickets. And it was a price increase right before the season started for tickets. Forget inflation, because some other teams did not have the same price increase. They went up by a margin. Now the prices went down after week 1 and week 2. I wonder why. Terrible ownership gets you in the situation that they're in right now. The players may not be playing up to standard. The coaches may have not been in the best situation, like with Matt Rule. He was a terrible head coach. But at the end of the day, the person that controls all of this is David Tepper. And I feel like he's not getting enough blame right now. I could come on here and blame Bryce Young like how I have for the last 2 weeks. But at the end of the day, that is the man that selected this kid. At the end of the day, that is the man that selected Frank Reich to be his head coach. That is the man that went out there and makes all the decisions. He gave Matt Rule too much time in the NFL. And where you see people, as soon as they leave your organization, they have success elsewhere. That says a lot about you and your franchise than it says about them. It just shows how resilient Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and all those guys are. But let me know in the comment section below, how you guys feel about Andy Dalton being the new starter for the Carolina Panthers long term. And you know something that I can see happening? If Andy Dalton goes out there and he has a bad game or two, they're going to slide Bryce Young right back in because of what they traded to give up. Because that's a David Tepper way. hard-headed as hell. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.